Hey guys, Mr. Mimikyu here, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing the Trevenant-Walrein core plus Superpower Dragonite. Now, I have used Dragonite in the past with Hurricane, but this is the one with Superpower. As you can see right here, with Superpower you can now do damage against the Steel types that Dragonite would normally lose to, like Bastiodon, Galarian Stunfisk, Registeel, you name it. And even things like in the Ultra League, like there's so many steel types lurking around, and even in the Master League, like you could do super effective against Melmetal, Metagross, which does neutral because of its psychic typing. Here my opponent led with Obstagoon, and we were able to take it down with Dragonite. Here they have his Crobat. We can just, like, you know, farm down the Crobat, and they know for a fact they're probably going to lose. They get to a second Poison Fang. We cannot shield that because we're so good like that. And all they have in the left is the Charmer, which we could just go into Trevenant. They know this game is over because the moment I bring it in, they just top left and surrender the match. Now, I'll say this, like, with the added Superpower, like, I didn't get, like, a lot of use with it, and it's a good move to have, I'll say. Like, you know, like, you'll have coverage against the steel types. Here we have his Como. Now, this is the battle against the dragons. Because my Dragonite's IVs, like, those are not, like, sub-optimal PvP IVs. Because, like, I know I have a Dragonite with that same IV spread, and here I accidentally build up to 2, which I end up giving my opponent a shield, and I died. I can't go into Walrein because I don't want to get close combated. I bring in Trevenant, and just as long as they don't have a Flamethrower, I think we're good to go. They go for the Dragon Claw. They have Trevenant of their own. We throw in the Shadow Ball, and we end up getting both shields, which is like, gosh darn it. Like, you know, we definitely screwed up here. We bring in Walrein. They are going to throw in the Seed Bomb. We can tank 1, but we can't take 2. We shield up the second, and I don't know if we're able to farm down here, because even if we did, whatever is in the back, we're just going to lose to, because, like, there's nothing we can do here. And of course they have Florges, which really is anticipating to see, because, like, Florges is definitely a pick for the Master League, and for the Ultra League, it is bulky, but it's not worthwhile though. And next opponent having Crobat, like, usually sometimes, like, I would switch up the leads because, like, you know, it's the common Trevenant-Walrein core that we've seen since season 10 of Go Battle League, out during, like, the more than the second half of the season, when Walrein got Powder Snow and Icicle Spear, in which Icicle Spear was 35 energy at the time, but now it's 40 because, well, 60 damage for 35 energy is absolutely overpowered. Here my opponent has a Scavalier. They shielded up the Earthquake. We go down. We can just go into Dragonite because, you know, we resist everything. They have Drud again. We could just throw in the Dragon Claw, do some amazing damage, but we end up getting their second shield. Here we bring in Trevenant. We can just double shield up and then, you know, do some good damage with the Shadow Ball. I can't go for Seed Bomb because it is resisted, and we could just go Shadow Ball. We take down the Drud again. As long as we can shield up correctly, I think they're probably just going to throw a Mega Horn, and thank goodness I did. And, you know, at this point they know they just surrendered, but instead, you know, let's just throw in the Shadow Ball and we take down the Escavalier. Like I said, with Dragonite, it's very nice. You know, here we have his Gengar, and here, usually with Gengar, it's very dependent. Some run Sludge Bomb, some run Shadow Ball, and 1% of the time they run Focus Blast, which just really just annihilates. Here I throw in the Icicle Spear, and they bring in the Como because they thought I was going to go for Earthquake. They shielded up. I throw in the second Icicle Spear. We end up getting both shields right away. We could just go into Dragonite, and pretty much we're in the driver's seat. We could just shield up once here, try and get to the Dragon Claw so that they wouldn't be able to, and we take down their Como, excuse me, and they can just farm down. Here we can just bring in Trevenant, you know, do some excessive damage with Shadow Claw because Gengar is a glass cannon, and we all know how glassy Gengar is. I shield just in case it was Shadow Ball, but it wasn't, and we just take them down, and all they have left is a Swampert. Here we could just build up to 2 Seed Bombs, and to be honest, I could have just thrown the last one because Trevenant does win CMP, but I decide, you know, let's go for the flex, because why not? And we just get hit with an Earthquake so that Trevenant didn't have to deal with it. Next match is where we got a Shadow Walrein, and oh my god, like, This is very scary. We bring in our own Walrein because Trevenant doesn't want to deal with it, and staying in with Dragonite is not a good idea. Here they go for an Earthquake. Does big damage, takes me over half. I click on Earthquake, and they end up shielding the first Earthquake, which is kind of surprising. And here they try to... I try to shield. They were trying to anticipate a catch after they throw in their second. They try to catch the Earthquake, but I managed to hold on to my energy. I throw in the Icicle Spear, do some big damage. We throw in the second one so they couldn't get off the Seed Bomb. We throw it in and we take down their Trevenant. Now they're going to wait out their switch clock. They bring in Walrein again. I go for an Earthquake. Let's see if we can land this time. And nope, they double shielded the Walrein. Like, dang, are you trying to preserve the health here, Mr. Walrus? And I end up not even expecting the Earthquake, but it ends up becoming an Icicle Spear. Here we can just Earthquake, and third time was a charm. That's right, third time was a charm. We bring in Trevenant. We can tank one, but we can't take two. You know, Trevenant. Like, even though the thing is, like, Trevenant's very strong in the Ultra Premier Classic. Being ranked 1 overall on PV Poke, definitely a worthwhile pick. All they have left is Dragonite, and it's so funny how my opponent was running the same team as me, but because my Dragonite's IVs aren't good. But the thing is, you know, we could just finish it off here, just go for Dragon Breath down and KO. Next opponent having a Gyarados, and to be honest, Gyarados is fine as long as they don't have I don't know, because, like, Gyarados is a good pick, you know, in the Ultra Premier Classic, like, you know, with the absence of Registeel not having the Zap Cannon in it, you know, we're taking neutral from those Crunches and Dragon Breaths as long as they don't get the defense drop. Here we could just fire in 2 Icicle Spears and 1 to draw out the shield, but we ended up taking them down. They have Surf Edge. We could just go for Icicle Spear number 3, see what they can do with it. They no-shield it, and we get farmed down, which is okay. We can bring in Dragonite. They're at 8. I'm going to shield up just in case it's a Brave Bird, but it ends up becoming a Night Slash, so I know for a fact this is just another Night Slash. We can just let this go. I had to anticipate whether or not if he was running Brave Bird. All he has left is the Nidoqueen. There's no reason to go for the Superpower because it's resisted. His shield, it was CMP, which is good for me. They throw in the Poison Fang, we bring in Trevenant, and this is pretty much game over. You know, we can just let this Poison Fang go through, does some decent damage here. We could just go for double Seed Bomb, just to keep an eye out for the catch, and we end up drawing their second shield. We can shield up the Poison Fang, you know, preserve some health on Trevenant. They try to catch, but I ended up farming them down, and then we can just go for a Shuttle Ball. Little overkill, but you know, Trevenant is done very well, and that was a very close game. Next match is where we got Crobat. Like, I'll say this, Crobat is definitely pretty strong in the Ultra Premier Classic, with Registeel being absent, as well as, like, Galarian Stunfisk. Well, I mean, you could use G-Fisk, but the thing is, it requires XL Candy, and this is a league where XL Candy is banned, which is nice. And, of course, you know, we can tank one move. Shadow Ball does, like, well over half. We bring in Dragonite, and, you know, we could just let this Body Slam go through. If they happen to build up a second, we're not going to throw the Superpower right away, because I want to preserve some damage off with the Snorlax, and we survive about within the red health. We can just go for a Superpower, just so that they would have less farm against the Crobat, and we almost take them down, but we were able to successfully take them down. Here, my opponent brings back in the Crobat. I could just go into Walrein. This game is pretty much a wrap, it feels like. We bring in Walrein. They have Obstagoon now. This is very scary because Obstagoon is basically a hard counter to Trevenant. And this is very scary because we both have 2 shields. And this kind of sucks because we kind of have to shield everything. Because, like, if we don't shield them, we're just going to lose the match. And here we could just go for Seed Bomb. Like, there's no reason to Shadow Ball as it's triple resisted. Obstagoon is just so bulky on the defense side. Like, it's pretty tanky. Like, you could also, like, build up an XL one, but I don't recommend it because, like, you can still get away. And they boost, and we catch the Poison thing onto Walrein. Holy smokes, that was just clutch. Here we could just go for a double Seed Bomb, and this is pretty much game over. Like, I was not expecting that Trevenant would become an Obstagoon counter confirmed, and that, my friends, is a good game. Very well played. Next opponent has a Gengar lead. Now, typically you see Gengar look at how much damage it has taken from those Dragon Breaths. Like, we're getting it like almost below half. They bring in Ursaring. We could go for a superpower. And boom! Almost one-shotting it. And we can just snipe with Walrein. They have Drapion. At least Trevenant doesn't have to deal with it though. Because like Drapion is a hard counter to Trevenant. And of course because this is a no XL, you can clearly tell this is almost close to a Shundo just by looking at the CP. Since the Hundo is 2453 at level 40 or 2484 if you have the best buddy boost equipped it. Here they shielded the Icicle Spear. We can just go for a second. They let it go and we can just bring in Dragonite, not because we don't have to, and we get taken down just so that we can preserve health. They have Gengar left and they just quit. Quite honestly, the Trevenant-Walrein core is very prominent, and here my opponent has a Shadow Machamp, and we all know how to play it out from here. We could just go for a Dragon Claw, they shield, and we all know that we could just farm down. Here I decided to no shield, and it ends up becoming a cross chop. Here they throw in the second. I decided to shield to preserve some health so that we're both even on shields. They bring in Sylveon, which kind of surprised me because that superpower did absolutely nothing. Here we could just go into Trevenant. Quite honestly, I was not anticipating the catching the Sylveon. Sure, it is mind-boggling to see because Sylveon's pretty strong in the Ultra Premier Classic as opposed to the Open, since I had mentioned about Regiseal several times, so I'm not going to explain about it again. Here they have their own Trevenant. I throw in the Seed Bomb, they get a Shadow Claw through, and they end up shielding. Holy crap. Gee, that was a bad shield there, mister, because he probably shielded because in case he lost track of how much energy I was at and thought I was at a Shadow Ball. But here we can just shield up the Walrein, and it's pretty much good game, very well played. They try to catch but fail to do so. Next opponent is a Swampert, and quite honestly, we can't go into Dragonite, we can't go into Trevenant, so we kind of have to just stay in. Here we can just let the Earthquake go. It ends up becoming a Sludge Wave. Oh my goodness, usually you expect Earthquake. We lose CMP, which is heartbreaking, but, we can just fire off, Icicle Spear after Icicle Spear, build up some more energy for another Icicle Spear. We all know the thing about Walrein and its spamminess. Before you were able to stack, almost 3, but now you can't. Here we can just shield up the Hydro Cannon. Sludge Wave really caught me off guard. They bring in Nidoqueen, and they end up shielding the Icicle Spear. We go into Dragonite. I was anticipating of going into Trevenant, but the thing is with Trevenant, it's kind of not a good idea because you are grass types, although you take neutral from the Poison Fangs because of its ghost typing. And here we can just let Dragonite go down. It's pretty much done its job. We can wait out the switch clock. We can go into Trevenant to get some farm. Although I could have farmed last. They have Trevenant in their own just as long. They try to catch but fail to do so. We go for a bait with Seed Bomb, and we end up drawing out their last shield, which was just awesome. Here I shield just in case they go for a Shadow Ball, which they do, so thank goodness I shielded. We could just go for a Shadow Ball of our own, and we just secure the KO. Mwah! Next opponent has Toxicroak. Now, this is the bonus battle that I decided to feature here, and you'll see why this really baffled me. As you can see right here, we throw in the Dragon Claw, do some excessive chip damage. Here I decided to shield last second in case it was the Sludge Bomb, which thankfully we do. They bring in Snorlax. We could just let the Body Slam go, and quite frankly, we survive on very sliver of health. We go for a superpower, and we could possibly use Dragonite as a sack swap. We go into Walrein. We could tank a Body Slam. Hopefully it's not a superpower. Thank goodness it wasn't. We could just farm down, and what sucks is that we have a 1-2 shield. They wait out their entire switch timer. They have Walrein. Now this is very dangerous because I know for a fact they're going to shield up the Earthquake, and I decided to go for an Earthquake, but they catch, and oh my god, I was very upset. Like, not gonna lie, that really cost me the game. I tried to catch the Earthquake, but failed to do so, and what sucks even more is that I decided to no-shield the Walrein. We survive in the red, and of course, I know for a fact this was an Icicle Spear, and I shielded Miss stupidly. Like, oh my god, I feel kind of ticked about that. Like, holy crap, that was so bad, and they just... Basically, I go for Icicle Spear. There's no way I can win. Like, I could have, like, top left because, you know, I could have, like, conceded the match. I try to snipe with Trevenant, and they have so much energy, and, you know, it's pretty much game over because then they can just farm up some extra energy, go for some Icicle Spears, and then go for an Icicle Spear against my Walrein. Like, you technically didn't have to do that, but that's okay because you can't win them all, and that's a good game. All in all, it feels good to have the Ultra Premier Classic back. Quite honestly, like, Walrein is very nice to use. You know, like, the amount of bulk it has in its HP is just astonishing. Like, you can tank hits very well. You can spam your opponent with Icicle Spear. And quite frankly, I could say the same thing with Trevenant with its Seed Bomb and Shadow Ball matchups because, like, you know, Ghost and Grass is very strong on the offensive side, although on defense it's just pretty terrible because of the amount of weaknesses you have. But I'll say this, like, you know, it's a very common core that Trevenant and Walrein do very well in both the Great and Ultra League, and even after the nerf, I just stopped using Walrein because of that reason. But anyways, thanks again for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, this is Mr. Mimikyu, and I'm saying peace out.